Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. Hi, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business. And I'm very excited, yes, every single Saturday to come and talk about one of my favorite subjects. And today, with one of my favorite people. We have been walking through this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And every month, we focus on a separate principle. Yes, we started with the principle of desire, and then we went to faith. But right now, we're on the principle of the power of the mastermind. And our phenomenal guest today, Miss Sharon Jackson, we're going to bring her on in just a little bit. She will be talking about her experience with this power, this driving force, this ninth step to riches. Well, if you expect to acquire lots of money, you must connect with the power of the mastermind. And Napoleon Hill tells us in order to transmute or translate those actions into power, you must have organized knowledge with an organized group of people who are called your mastermind group. But in order to do that, you must also look at connecting with infinite intelligence, the infinite intelligence that knows and is all things to all of us. But when you think about the power that is generated from this all powerful knowledge, consider taking an outlet and a plug, and you are going to connect with that outlet. You're going to plug into that outlet. But I'm suggesting to you that that outlet can be considered the power generated from a mastermind group. And with those thoughts in mind, let us take a moment and welcome our special guest this morning, none other than Miss Sharon Jackson. Good morning, Sharon. How are you this morning?
Wonderful. How are you doing?
Sharon, listen, if I were any better, I tell everybody I would be you, Sharon, this morning. Listen, I want to just let everybody know that Sharon, even though she is the leader of our Publish Planners Mastermind Group, she is also a planning professional with over 25 years of experience, which includes 5 years at the City of Lake Worth as a director of the Planning and Zoning and Historic Preservation. But Sharon is also an education and development. She has education and development degree from Southern Illinois University. And I can go on and tell you a lot about all of the things that she's done, but I think they would come better from you, Sharon, when you talk about not only the things that you've done, but the things that you are doing, which we talk about every week. Yes, it's bringing a smile to her face as we talk about every week as a part of her desire to give back. And actually, I just told Sharon this Monday past at our mastermind group. I said, Sharon, I have sat here and listened to you all these years talk about what you want to do, what you want to do. And I said, you know what, Sharon, you're actually doing the things that you desire to do, which is to be philanthropic, which is to save, which is to invest, which is to give and uplift your communities, since she lives in more than one community, but she'll talk about that. So help me welcome our special guest this morning, my group leader, my mastermind leader of our mastermind for Published Life Planners Mastermind Group, Miss Sharon Jackson. Good morning again, Sharon. If you could tell the audience a little bit about yourself over and above
Good.
what I've.
Good
Thank you.
morning, Ann. So this is the thing. When Ann talked or gave you my bio, what she gave you was who Sharon Jackson was 7 years ago. And then life happened. Ann told you that I was a planning director and I was this and I was that. And yes, my last position was with the city of Lake Worth as their planning and zoning director. And then life happened. There was an economic downturn, and they folded my department into another department. So then there became Land Development Group. I developed my own planning organization, and I could do that because I had friends. I had friends that were planners. I had friends that were attorneys. I had friends that could feed me projects, right? And so that was great. Everything was wonderful. I taught and I did on my and I did land development group. And then I said life happened. You lose family, you lose parents, and you make decisions. At this point, who was I? Do you go home and you save the land that only your family had lived on, or you continue with land development group? And I said, why can't I do both? So I came home. My sister and I saved the land, and we are still here 7 years later. We live on the bluffs of the Mississippi. And, and so my journey began all over. Anne talked about the power of the mastermind. We used to do the show together probably 10 years ago, and I used to tell people, ask people, the guest, at what point did you meet your other self? At what point did you realize who you are and whose you are and what moved you forward? And it was 7 years ago when I met who I was and what was going to move myself forward. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to read the setup for chapter 9. Is that okay, Anne? It says persistence creates faith, and faith is the only known antidote for failure. Failure is never an option for us. It's a starting point of all accumulation of riches. It's the only agency from which one can tap into the force of the infinite intelligence. So when you make those life changes, you have to reach deep, deep into the forces of the infinite intelligence, and it guides you each step, one step, two steps. Was I a fish out of water coming to Southern Illinois out of West Palm Beach, Florida? Yes. But I've always said in reading this, it's the starting point, and it's learning, and it's becoming that person that taps continually into the infinite intelligence, that taps into the faith and persistence. And that's where I am now. So what am I doing now? Land Development Group, it no longer exists. What I'm becoming now is that person that is developing, I told Ann, I'm developing tutoring programs that take kids from the average to moving kids into the top 25% of their class. I decided that I lived in an area that was historic. It was part of the Underground Railroad. It was one of those towns that was an industrial town, had industrialists, had large mansions all over town. We were a small town of 35,000 people, and up until 5 years ago, we had our own Mercedes and Volvo dealership, which let you know there was wealth in this place, and there still is. So I'm on the historic board, changing people's minds, moving people into the idea of the wisdom and the nuggets of gold of what this place truly is. So anyway, on to the mastermind, Ann. That's who I am.
Wow. Sharon, you just teed this up for us to talk about the other 13 principles, well, the 13 principles, because as we both know, the mastermind principle sits on top of a strong foundation of the other principles. So let us take a moment. Good morning, Colette Coleman. Thank you, and everybody who's joining in. We're talking with Miss Sharon Jackson this morning, which is I keep saying she's really our being Palm Beach Life Planners Group leader. Hi, Renette. Good morning. Thank you for joining. So let us go quickly to the 13 principles so we can come back and start this continuation, if you will, with Sharon Jackson and what brought her here, what was her first introduction to these principles, Where is she going? What is she doing now? And how important are these principles to the success of her life and businesses? Let's take a listen to 13 principles.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the MasterMind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the Wild Wild West days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us, use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
So Sharon, it looks like that we lost Anne for 1 second. It looks like her internet connection may have dropped out. So do you want to just give a little feedback on the 13 principles that just played?
Okay. So thank you again. So this is the thing. When I first was introduced to the 13 principles, when I was first introduced to Think and Grow Rich, it was, remember when I said, you have to, when you were introduced to your inner self and your inner strength, that's when I was introduced to this book. I would raise my book up, but I'm afraid it would fall apart. I've read it too many times. And so the third time in, I'll never forget that I was reading the first chapter, the third chapter, and you know how Anne says that the book starts reading you? Well, the books hit my heart. And this is the time in Anne's life that I would call her and say, Anne, I just am reading page so and so, and I'm on the first step. Is this what this means? This is what I think it means. And Anne would get that chuckle, and she'd, Sharon, this is what it means. And so I'm reading again. At this point, I'm in the classroom, right? Giving the children, this is so funny. If we have time, I'll tell this story later. So after I give out the assignments, reading again. So you're not supposed to be on your phone, right? And I just read another principle, and I have an issue. Is this what this really means? So as you go through the principles, as you go through desire, so the question is, I start questioning my desire. I have a love of reading plans, right? Urban planning was what I do. You can't take me into a city and down a street and I focus is not on what is in front of me, the structures, the architecture, what is next to it, why do people want to be there? But my desire had to change because my life changed. And so as I developed a new desire, poor Anne, I wore her out. She doesn't remember any of this. She's got too many things to remember. But as you go through the principles, you dig deep. What is your desire? It's your desire, the twins of desire and faith. And all that pushes aside what you think is real and what is in front of you. You move forward on the steps. Every chapter reveals a new part of you. You can't jump to chapter 9 without digging deep into your faith and your desire. You can't jump into decisions with having that base of all the others. Is Ann back? And do you want me to be quiet now? Because I could go on for the next 15 minutes.
Sharon, I'm not sure if you can hear me. For those that are watching and listening, we just want to say I'm actually in another country, and so the internet just decided to give Sharon um, all of the space. But I want to just say that Sharon, I do remember. Good morning, Gloria, and Ursula. Good morning, Keith, Renette, Gordon, Colette, everybody. Good morning, everybody. And I just want to remind everybody, Doretha, myself, Sharon, Mariama, Stephanie, and I think it is six of us. The six of us meet every Monday, literally at 6 a.m. Eastern time, and we hold our mastermind meetings. And we have been meeting now, Sharon, for since 19 something, but it's over 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So over 15 years we've been meeting every Monday at 6 a.m. And I'm sharing that because Sharon and I have lots of things that we've gone through together. And like she said, in life things. But I just want to read something that speaks to what Sharon is sharing, what Sharon Jackson has been sharing. And it comes from a book called The Mastermind. And Tia, will have put this in the chat. It is the memoirs of Napoleon Hill. And what Napoleon Hill shares with us about the mastermind, he says that the mastermind is a coordination of effort of two or more people working toward a definite end in a spirit of perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. And that word perfect harmony, I think we all know is not something you take lightly. And Sharon is shaking her head up and down kind of lightly. But he goes on to say that the nature of this perfect harmony, he asked Mr. Carnegie this question, how do you do this? And Carnegie's sharing with him that we have a business. He has in his business a mastermind group consisting of individuals with experience, education, temperament, personality, and loyalty of these men whose minds have been coordinated and directed to perfect harmony, to the marketing and making of steel. I personally know nothing. This is Carnegie's words. He says, I personally know nothing about the making and marketing of steel. But the members of my mastermind alliance know all there is to know and all there is that has been discovered concerning the marketing and making of steel. Now, this is what I want to get to. He says that this is a brand new idea. Napoleon Hill is saying that this is a brand new idea to me. I've never heard of a mastermind alliance until I heard Mr. Carnegie mention it. And then he says, when I speak of the spirit of harmony, Mr. Carnegie explained, I have reference to something deeper and more important than a man's words of his personal conduct toward others. I have reference to the thoughts which dominate his mind. And this is what I want to share as Sharon and I share these principles and these stories from our mastermind group. He says the thoughts of each other's minds can be damaged by his thoughts. In other words, if you have negative thoughts, and this is so powerful, if you have negative thoughts, it can destroy the spirit, if you will, of the mastermind. Wow. As he might do through spoken words. And the point Andrew Carnegie is making here is that you can just have these thoughts. You don't even have to speak negative. You can just have the thoughts of negativity. And these thoughts can emanate into the minds of others around you in your mastermind group. Thoughts have a way of conveying to everyone a definite and easily recognized mental attitude, which is either pleasing or antagonistic to all with whom they associate. And that is so powerful that I want to just mention this. Gloria Riley is on here. Good morning, Gloria. And I know you did not know I was going to do this, but I think I can have your permission to do this. Gloria Riley and I met at a $1 billion roundtable event. And for some reason, our spirits connected. Now, we all know people who, without words being spoken, you say, I don't know, it's just something about that person that just doesn't resonate with me. How do you put your finger on that? Well, that's what Sharon and our mastermind group have grown to do over these 15 years that we have come together. And it's not perfect. We'll talk about that, right, Sharon? It's not perfect. But we are committed to the commitment of doing the very best we can. One, to have perfect harmony, which I do believe in all these years we have perfect harmony among us. There's 6 of us, and 2 of us are buddies together. So myself and Betty Knighton, we're buddies. Sharon and Mariama are buddies. And Stephanie and Doretha Dennis, who's also on here, they're buddies. And so as buddies, we connect with each other off to support each other. And then we come together once a week. And we've been doing this now for a very, 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 very long time. But then annually, we come together and we bring our life in writing and we bring our goals. And I would tell you, it has not been easy. And I'm sharing this part of our story because so many of you, I know I've heard from many people who expect their mastermind group to be perfect, understand that we're not perfect. So if we're not perfect, how can the group be perfect? We are a work in progress and we continue to progress. And what Sharon said is so powerful in that if you don't have great clarity about your definite chief goal and your purpose, then how can your mastermind group help you achieve that which you're not clear about? So the onus is on each one of us to have great clarity and then bring that desire, that goal, that mission, that vision in every area of your life to your mastermind group. And the group can then, with your permission, hold you tightly accountable. So Sharon, I just want to just kind of give that as a backstory. And like I said, I'm just so thankful. And I don't know if I've told you this lately to have you as our group leader, but I do want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of masterminding, because there are many people who pay lots of money to be in a mastermind group. Our group is free. But then that's not really free. We don't pay any money to mastermind with each other, right? And I want to say that because we do have an international mastermind association that we formed over the years that has created best practices to hold us accountable as a group. So Sharon, can you share at least one story with our listeners? And we want to thank all of you, Gloria, Anita, Ursula, everybody, to read the KJ, all of you, Renette, Colette. We want to thank all of you for chiming in. If you have any questions for Sharon or any thoughts that you'd like for us to share, if you can just put them in the chat, and we'll come to that. So Sharon, could you share with our audience at least one story that you can think of that has been instrumental in the mastermind helping you achieve at least one goal? I do have
Oh,
one.
one story. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is the thing. So when I first came into the group was already started by the time that I became part of the Palm Beach Mastermind, and I was in that change of life, right? Realizing who I was. Land development group was starting, and so here comes Stephanie, who is part of the group, and Stephanie gave me this book, and it's called "Where's My Cheese?" And she said, Sharon, my suggestion is, first of all, this is not your book. This is my book, and I want it back. But I suggest that you read it several times because it's going to be very important. Your life has been structured and now it's changed. You must read this book. You must ingrain this book. You must read Think and Grow Rich. And when things happen, you're going to read the book. When you hurt, you're going to quote either verses from the Bible, or you're going to go back into the book. So as life happens, instead of speaking words that you hear other people say, you speak words that respond to life, that tells life who you are and whose you are and what's the path ahead. So that was my Stephanie story. Stephanie was the first one that grabbed me by the shoulders and was always there. But Stephanie was the first one that grabbed me by the shoulders and say, read, ingest, and speak life into your new life. So the life that I speak is that life. Every time I get a new turn, I speak a word. And the word either comes from Think and Go Rich, or the word comes from the eternal word. So if I get a pain or I get a signal that says, this is going to make you very unhappy, you quote a word and you breathe life into the new situation. So anyway, that was my Stephanie story.
Okay, I have a story I'd like to share about Sharon. And Sharon, I don't know if you mind doing this, but while I'm sharing this story, if you can pull up your affirmation, because I think that it's very important for our listeners to understand if you're talking about creating a mastermind group, And I did write a book called How to Start and Run a Successful Mastermind from our experiences in our mastermind group. And you can find that book on Amazon or my website. But one of the first things we do as a part of our mastermind group, we have an agenda. And that agenda tells us exactly what we're going to do. We have an affirmation that we read that's a group affirmation. And then someone blesses us with a prayer. And we each go around and we share our mastermind report. And that report, we focus on 10 different areas of our lives. We focus on our spiritual, our family, our financial, our health, our education, our personal development, the business or your career, your recreation, your creativity, and your civic. We set goals for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And for some of us, it's a lot longer. For myself, it's over 40 years. Now, I say that because as we mastermind on a weekly basis, we share what our goals are and what we want each of the members to hold us accountable for. Now, the story I want to tell about Sharon is this. She doesn't know to tell this story, but Sharon, in her affirmation, and you hopefully she'll share it, she talks about being basically wealthy. Yes, rich. And so what happens, and I'm sharing this because so many of us talk about money and things we want to acquire. But where are the actions? Equally as important, who must you become? Who must you become in the process of achieving that desire? And I love what Jim Rohn says. He says, become a millionaire, not for the money, but who you must become in order to be a millionaire. And not just to be a millionaire, but to stay a millionaire. Because we know that people, they win and they lose it. But it is who you must become in the spirit of service. So let's tell a story about Sharon. So Sharon kept reciting this affirmation week after week, month after month, year after year. And eventually, Sharon connected herself with an organization called, and I want all of you to put this in the chat so you can go there too. It is called Better Investing. And Sharon began to learn how to analyze stocks and how to invest. And as she began, first she had a desire. That's principle number one. Then she had faith that it would work because she saw other people doing it, like the baby billionaire, right? And then slowly she began to align herself with an investment club. And each week she'd come on, and of course, some of us would get, sick and tired of hearing Sharon talk about what she was going to do. Okay, Sharon, now you know the secret is out. Yes, Sharon would talk about this every single week. But then slowly, she then began to learn how to save. She began to learn how to invest. And then she began to do the work, the inner work that was required. And this past Monday, Sharon, I don't know if you remember what I said to you because you didn't say a word when I said to you, Sharon, you know what? You have become and you are becoming exactly what you said. You see, it doesn't matter how the money comes. When you have a desire and you are specific about the amount of money you're going to make, you're going to have, the universe has a way of bringing you exactly what you desire. So thank you, Renette, and everybody for your comments in the chat. Renette says, talks about at the annual meeting, we bring our life in writing, and also she's already registered. So thank you for that. So Sharon, if you don't mind sharing with our listeners your affirmation that you recite every time we meet, and it's
Oh,
yours.
my whole affirmation.
Are you going to do that?
Sure, I have it.
Okay, perfect.
So the divine mind placed in me is the one and only reality. I was created to live life with an uncommon faith, to operate in confidence, believing for the extraordinary, to function as part of a force that brings clarity, peace, and prosperity in every environment that I operate. The power twins desire backed by faith push reason aside and inspire me to carry on. With desire and faith, I decree that the word of God is in my mouth and that the spoken word addresses every situation to brings forth unwavering desires of my heart. I decree that I have wholeness in life, that every system and every organ operates in perfect harmony. I decree that I operate in love, forgiveness, mindful of my need and the needs of those that are around me. My desire is to have destiny helpers that guide me to excel in each phase of my life and to be a destiny helper for those that come behind me. I decree that I am known in the community as a Proverbs 31 woman, an implementer and a powerful woman of God. I decree that I am organized, sharp in understanding business matters, even to the last day of my very long life. I am a money generator. I am a millionaire in cash, in property, and in stock. Richness of substance, infinite wisdom guides me. Divine love prospers me, and I am successful in everything that I undertake. And I am in a moment of personal increase and expansion.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so, Sharon talked earlier. Thank you for that, Sharon. So, I just wanted to share with our listeners um, how we, as a part of the Palm Beach Life Planners, how we mastermind with each other using the principles of this book. All right. We read the book, we have goals, and we work with each other to achieve those goals. Now, Sharon talked about something earlier that was very, very important. I want to read it about the other self. And actually, Sharon was one of the first people as a part of our mastermind group to talk about the other self. And in reading many books by Napoleon Hill, he talks about the other self. You will not find your other self until you have trials, challenges, struggles, and tribulations. And as you go through that, your other self emerges. And Napoleon Hill tells his other self story. But this is what I would like to read, where he says, he's talking about your other self. And he says, your other self, he's talking to himself about himself. He says, your other self is now completely in charge of you. This is after you go through or while you're going through your struggles and your challenge. And Sharon shared about how the loss that she experienced, she began to find her other self. And I just want to share with you what the words of Napoleon Hill says from his other self. He says, your other self is in charge of you. You're entitled to know that two entities occupy your body, as in fact, two similar entities occupy every person. One of these entities is motivated and responds to the impulse of fear. The other is motivated and responds to the impulse of faith. For more than a year, now this is Napoleon Hill talking to himself, for more than a year, you have been a slave to fear. Last night, faith regained control, and you are now motivated by that entity called faith. For the sake of convenience, you may call this faith entity your other self. It knows no limitation, it has no fears, and it recognizes no such word as impossible. But when you really get down to it, you should know that faith performs no miracles, nor does it work in opposition to nature's laws. Your other self will not work for you, it will only guide you intelligently in achieving yourself the objects of your desires. Your other self will aid in translating your plans into reality. Your other self will remain in charge and continue to direct you as long as you rely upon it. So I just want to share those words to just cement what Sharon is saying about as she found her other self. Now we're still in the mastermind group. I want us to understand that. And this is why, for all of us, it doesn't matter where you are in life, it does not matter what stage you are in life. And Sharon said this too. Life is going to happen. Sharon talked about how when I read her bio, that was the Sharon from 7 years ago. But the Sharon that she is today is on the journey of achieving exactly what she said in her affirmation. So Sharon, I want to just thank you for that, because again, as masterminders, we don't really get to have this kind of dialogue with each other, because every Monday, as everybody does, we're in it and we're out of it and we're going about our day. But I just want to just ask you if you would also share, if you don't mind, and we didn't talk about this, ladies and gentlemen that's listening, so Sharon does not know this is coming. But I said I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now I'd like to have Sharon share. Sharon and I had a conversation about a book I read, and the book was entitled "You've Earned It, Don't Lose It" by Susie Arman. And it was a period of my life that I was going through uh, a 15-year family probate case in court, 15 years. And she's starting to smile because she knows where I'm going with this. And I hope you don't mind sharing, but if it matters too much and it's painful, don't. But I think it's going to be very important, because what happens is that experiences that we have are not for us. Those testimonies are really for others. And when I went through my 15-year probate, I realized that God blessed me with that experience, not necessarily for me, but to liberate so many others not to have to go through what I went through, because I did not know, and my family did not know. Now, here we go, talk about masterminding, right? I did not know, and my family did not know, that when you have property, you should not put it in a will, you should put it in a trust. So our family residence was put in a will that had to be probated through the courts, which took 15 years. We won't get it. That's another story for another day. But I shared with Sharon and many others, as a part of our International Mastermind Association, Susie Arman's book, which helped me to understand, this is afterwards, what happened, and how I could help others to go through, right? So I said to Sharon, because her mom was in her 90s, I think, right, Sharon? And I said, Sharon, you really want to read this book and put some things in order with your family, because now you may go before your mom, but in the case your mom goes before you, you don't want to go through what I went through. So Sharon, would you mind sharing that story? Because now the reason I said the good, the bad, and the ugly, because after Sharon shares with you, then I will share what our mastermind group went through in supporting Sharon. So Sharon, let me let you go ahead and share, and then I'll come behind you and I'll share. Go ahead, please.
Well, when we read the book, mom was actually still alive and healthy. I have one of those mothers that at 78, she learned how to play the clarinet and played in a band until she passed. I mean, literally. And so, uh, brought the book home, got a second book out of the library, and mom and I read the book. And it's very difficult, but mom started putting some things in place as best that she could. And when she had her event on Friday, was gone into eternity on Monday, then that's when the real journey occurred. And so, yeah, it took me a very long time to, start weeding through, going through attorneys and things like that. And poor Ann, I did my update, not just poor Ann, poor my Palm Beach Life Planners partners, that every Monday in my time, 5 o'clock, I'm giving them the update. This is what I did this week. This is what I did that week. This is what the plan is for this coming week. And they went through the journey with me for like 5 years of putting the plans in place, and went through it for 15. And unfortunately, I think lost the land in the end. We went through this for 5, and it's still not done, but at least it's in a place of control. In a place that we know that we have it's controllable. So, it was a journey. And unfortunately, my published life planners, my friends, my life partners listen to me every Monday about what I've done and what is the plan for this week. And so this is a thing that's really, really, really important. In chapter 9, it talks about, and I'm bringing this in because this is important about being in the mastermind. It says, no two minds ever come together without therefore creating a third invisible and tangible force, which may be likened a third mind. So in going through these steps, my life planners joined forces. They were in my mind and they guided me, assisted me. They created that third mind that was there that gave me pointers. Think about this, think about the other. This is what's getting ready to happen. Sharon, I have to think of the words. Calm down and continue to move. Breathe life into this situation. And so finally, Anne came on and she said, do you realize that this is like the first time in 5 years that you are not coming on and it seems as if you have things under control? So that's what happens. 5 years, every Monday. The ladies listened to me about what I was doing, what happened, where I'm going. 5 years. So that's
Ooh. Oh, y'all can't listen. All of you cannot see the tears in my eyes because this is a journey. This is a journey. It is not a destination. And when you decide you are going to marry people and buddy up with them, call it mastermind. Nobody told us it was for life. And Sharon is absolutely right. We are on our call from 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and Sharon would take 29 of those minutes. We walk through every single detail. And my buddy and I, Betty, and we were hoping to get a chance, but Sharon, as Sharon said, in all seriousness, we were there with her every step of the way, every phone call with the family. And for those of you that's listening, even though I'm laughing, this is a very serious subject about trust and wills, and nobody talks about this. One of the things that we do as a part of our mastermind, we talk about our obituary, we make plans, we hold each other accountable for ensuring so many different things in our lives, so many different areas of our lives. And this is one of the reasons why, and I'm going to talk about the International Mastermind Association, and thank you, Renette Gordon, for saying that you've already registered. Please bring your family to our International Mastermind Association annual meeting. And I do have tears in my eyes because we support each other in everything, from marriage to divorce to families, things to highs and lows on an annual basis. We would get together and go to a retreat with Odyssey. Thank you, Tia, for the hookup, and Odyssey retreat with the women. And we set a goal, put money aside. We do so many things together, but it all goes back to, what is it that you desire as you're listening to us? Who's holding you accountable as a group? So we host an annual meeting every year in January, and it's going to be on the 6th and 7th of January 2023 at the Embassy Suites in Boca Raton on Yamato Road. And we want to encourage you to go to internationalmasterminders.com and register. We're going to put the link here in the chat. But consider bringing your life in writing. Once you register, we will send you the instructions on what to do, homework that you must homework that we encourage you to do is called a survey that we ask you to take. And that survey covers every single area of your life. That is your annual report. And I was sharing last week with a coaching client and said, just imagine that every year you had to go before a tribunal. And this tribunal would determine whether or not you received another 365 days based upon what you did the last 365 days. Let me say that again.
Mhm.
Imagine you could not go into next year until you kept your commitment in this year about what your goals were and what you said you were going to do. This is how serious life is. This is how serious the mastermind group is in holding each of us accountable. And I tell people, I'm in a mastermind group. I am not the group leader. On the screen, you have our group leader, that's Sharon Jackson. I am not the group leader. There are 6 of us. And so when you think about your own mastermind group, yes, we have the Clarity Mastermind and people buddy up and we hold each other accountable. Actually, that meeting is next week. So we'll put that link in the chat. You can go to annmcneil.com, annmcneil.com/coaching if you're interested in becoming a part of our Clarity Mastermind. Some people want to be held lightly accountable. They're not really yet to do the serious work. And then there are some who want to be held closely accountable because they are clear about their goals and desire. So we have the links here in the chat. But again, you can go to internationalmasterminders.com to register for our annual meeting. You can go to annmcneil.com/coaching if you'd like to register for our Clarity Mastermind. And so, Sharon, we're going to prepare to wrap up. We're going to thank all of our listeners. I know this went very, very quickly. Ursula, thank you for your comments about the clarification about the other self. And Angelina Buckley, welcome back. And I also want to mention, too, Angelina has been so gracious in sharing with us. Every Friday, we host a Friday accountability call. And that call, each of us come on for 1 minute. We get 1 minute to share what we've read in the book Think and Grow Rich. All right. And it's about a 15-minute call, but we provide so many different resources to all of you that claim, okay, we all claim we're interested in our dreams and our goals and our desires. And sometimes we connect with a buddy or a mastermind group, but are we really serious in being held accountable? So Sharon, let's come back to you and see if you have any closing comments or remarks that you'd like to share as we prepare to wrap up.
The only thing that I wanted is that the mastermind group, remember, and it tells you that it is in the spirit of harmony, but the energy that is created when you talk, when you come in, it's not just a me thing. It is the energy that is created when all of you come together as a force. And that's the one thing when we come together on our in our yearly, it's a energy that's created, and it's alliance that we have formed, and it becomes available to each one of us. Your life is a book at that point. Your life is, you come together with a force and with energy. And the energy, remember, it's not just your energy, it's the group energy. It's more than just the people that are there in the room. So I guess my point really is, when you come in, it's not a force of one. If there's 6 of you, it is a divine infinite energy that creates a force of 100 times. That's thinking and growing rich in every area of your life.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We want to thank everybody. Sharon, if you tell people how they can reach you, if there's a special way for people to reach out and touch and reach you.
There's no real way. So this is the thing that's interesting. Okay, I will come up. So I was talking to a friend of mine about being on the show, and I said, "Do you realize that of all my friends that I've had for 30 years, I'm the only one, I don't have my business anymore, and I'm not an international speaker. although speaking is what I do every day. I just don't get paid for it. Anyway, the whole point is this, Anne. No, I do not. I'm the unique one, but not unique in that it's the creating the purpose for your life, making sure that when that time that you enter into eternity, that you fulfill what it is that you've designed to fulfill. I am sjackson6195 at comcast.net. And if you ever need to contact me, I am always on that internet. That's it.
Sharon, I love you. I love you so much. And I really appreciate your leadership as a part of our mastermind group. And what I'd like to do, we're going to wrap up with a short video of an event that I host. But before we do that, Sharon, I know I didn't talk about this either, but do you have our group affirmation handy? I think that would be a really, you don't have it handy. Okay. Yes, we do have a group affirmation that we read, and we to start our meetings with that group affirmation to remind ourselves about who we are and what we do and why we're here to support each other. And again, it's not perfect, not always, but it's not perfect, but we do operate with a spirit of harmony with each other. And like I said, it's 15 years so far, and we're expecting to, yes, death do us part. That's right, Sharon. I'm laughing, but it's not funny because this is serious. And as long as you each live that's listening to us, I challenge you to ask yourself the question, who's holding you accountable for your goals and your dreams? And until next time, we want to thank you. We're going to ask you to go to internationalmasterminders.com. We also host a beta test. All of the scheduled activities we host, they're on that internationalmasterminders.com website. But I am more intentional, and my mastermind group is holding me more accountable to the dreams and the goals that I've assessed and I've espoused. And so one of the things that I'm starting to do is to do a better job in promoting who I am and what I do, because I'm helping so many people with this philosophy. And I'm growing also in that grace and that space of sharing, because I do understand that to whom much is given, much is required, but we each must be willing to make an investment in ourselves. And so with those thoughts, we're going to end with the video, sharing some highlights of our Niche to Be Rich event and our 3-day retreat. Thank you. So Tia, if you could play the video, please. My why really is the fact that you really can think and grow rich with a spirit of excellence, in the spirit of service to God. I came from absolutely nothing. So there's no excuse about why I cannot help literally millions of people, but I have to start with one, and that one is myself.
Such a gift. The way that you have curated this space for people to be safe, to be seen, to be heard, to be validated, to be encouraged, to be lifted up in a way that allows them to see beyond what they may have ever even dreamt to be possible is special. It's a blessing, it's a gift, and it's transformative.
Opening my eyes to what it is I need to do, how to do what I need to do, and sharing your life experiences so that I don't make the mistakes.
You need
to surround yourself with individuals that see something in you that you can't see. Because once they see that, then they will keep bugging you because they know better is in there. And that's what she has done for me. She saw my better when I couldn't even see it.